The Obriens, royal and noble clan founded in the 10th century in the Kingdom of Thomond by Brian Boru, born into the tribe of the Dalcosh of the Turla sept, a cadet branch of the blood. In the Dalcassians' own ancient genealogies, they claim descent from Cormac Cos, a king of Munster in the 3rd century. Modern scholars claim they are from the Deshi Muin, possible distant kin to the Anocta kings of Munster. After becoming king of Munster, he spent most of his life conquering the rest of Ireland, till all clans, chiefs and kings paid him tribute. Brian died in 1014 AD at the Battle of Clontarf. He never used his surname during his lifetime. His name would have been Brian mac Kennetig mac Lorcan, Brian, son of Kennetig, son of Lorcan. Although the High King did start a number of policies where clans and families were to have a common surname, but this was never fully implemented. Brian's grandson, Donogh O'Brien, King of Munster, who died in 1242 AD, was, according to the annals of Innisfallen, the first to adopt the surname O'Brien. Although there was no standardised spelling at the time, many variants would be recorded, such as MacBrien and MacBrien. After Brian Boru's death, members of the family would hold the titular title of High King, but without the same authority that Brian did, using the Kingdom of Munster as their power base, until the 12th century, where their territory had shrunk back to their ancestral homeland in the Kingdom of Thomond, which they would hold for just under 5 centuries. In total, 9 O'Briens ruled in Munster till 1118 AD, and 3 held the High Kingship of Ireland. Only 2 had the power to actually enforce this rule, and Brian was the only one to receive submissions from all the kings in Ireland. After the invasion and partition of Munster in 1118 AD by the Kingdom of Connacht, who split it into minor kingdoms of the Obriens in Thomond and the McCarthys in Desmond, the dynasty would go on to provide around 30 monarchs of Thomond until 1542. In the 12th and 14th century, during the Norman invasion of Ireland, various clans of the Obriens would ally with and fight against the Norman lords to try and gain the upper hand for the kingship of Thomond, granting land and intermarrying with these invaders. Even to this day, all Burkes of Ireland are descended from marriage of William de Burgh and Moore O'Brien. In 1171 AD, Donald O'Brien recognised Henry II of England as Lord of Ireland, but after 2 years he rebelled. The last O'Brien to reign in Thomond was M.R.I.A O'Brien, who surrendered his sovereignty to Henry VIII, becoming instead Earl of Thomond and maintaining a role in governance. Today, the head carries the title of Prince of Thomond. During the O'Brien's rule in medieval Ireland, they used a system of tanistry to decide succession of titles, rather than primogeniture used by much of feudal Europe. The system in effect was a dynastic monarchy, but family elected, in the sense that the royal family chose the most suitable male candidate, from rather than the crown automatically passing to the eldest son. This sometimes led to bitter quarrels and in-family warring between the strongest contenders for the titles. In 1543 AD, the head of the O'Brien house adopted primogeniture. After Henry VIII was declared King of Ireland, he decreed all chiefs and kings should forfeit their noble Irish titles, customs and Catholic faith, and submit to him in return for a new title and adoption of his religion, the Church of Ireland. The last King of Thomond, M.R.I.A O'Brien, surrendered his kingship to become the Earl of Thomond and Baron of Inchiquin. His nephew Donogh O'Brien was made Baron of Ibrigeen. Although a chief was no longer recognised as a noble title, many Gaelic families adopted the term Chief of the Name as a titular title amongst the clans. The O'Briens would hold many titles, and many outside the main line would become part of the landed gentry. The Earls of Thomond, fully integrated within English law and customs, becoming supporters of the crown, often at odds with their fellow clan members and countrymen. Although, as different branches of the family's power waxed and waned, so did their loyalties to the crown and each other. Clan Taoga the O'Briens, chief of the Aran Islands, were paid to protect the shipping lanes of the group of merchant families known as the Tribes of Galway. The O'Briens of Ara and the Aran Islands were often at odds with the main branch of the O'Briens. During the Great Irish Rebellion of 1641 between the Irish Confederates and England, M.R.I.A O'Brien, first Earl of Inchiquin, although a staunch Protestant, joined the English during the Great Irish Rebellion of 1641. Although a quick defeat of the rebellion was prevented by the English Civil War. During the English Civil War, M.R.I.A sided with the Royalists, but changed side to the Parliamentarians, after an alliance between some leaders of the Irish Catholic Confederates and the Royalists. He later rejoined the Royalists, but was exiled to France when they lost during Cromwell's brutal reconquest of Ireland. He was later pardoned and regained his land and titles. Another branch of the family, Daniel O'Brien, Viscount of Clare, sided with the Irish Confederates and was one of the leaders to join the Royalists of Charles I during the English Civil War. When Charles lost, Daniel's lands were confiscated, but during the restoration of Charles I's son Charles II, he managed to gain most of it back. The Earls of Inchiquin line would go on to support William of Orange's invasion of Ireland, while the Viscounts of Clare's line would support the Jacobites of King James II. Daniel O'Brien, 3rd Viscount of Clare, was head of the Clare's Dragoons at the Battle of the Boyne. After the defeat, he was exiled to France along with his regiment. The Viscount of Clare continued to use the title in exile, although it was no longer recognised. They joined the French army and continued to fight for them as colonels of the Obriens regiment. They were renowned for their bravery and fought with great distinction until 1775, when the last Colonel Viscount Charles O'Brien died. A song used by the Obriens regiment called Clare's Dragoons survives today and is used by the 27th Infantry Battalion of the Irish Defence Force. The Earls of Inchiquin line would continue until the present day. They are seated within their ancestral castle of Drumulland. They would continue to serve within the British Army, often as officers leading their men into battle, fighting in World War I and World War II. Other lines of O'Briens would continue to exist, either as minor lords or as time went on they would most likely fall out of the nobility. With many branches forming all over Ireland, such as the Obriens of Ballyitra, who would descend from the Obriens of Barnankyle and Camera of Waterford. The Obriens would also found two prominent clans, the McMahons of Clare and the Considines or MacConsidines. Many would leave to the New World to make their mark there, even as far as to fight against the British in the American Revolutionary War, such as Captain Jeremiah O'Brien, born 1744 AD, who commanded the ship Unity and captured the British ship Margaretta. Many also left Ireland after the Great Famine of 1845, with O'Brien territories being in some of the worst areas affected. The O'Brien's clan, as with all clans, isn't centralised to one or a few territories. They are spread around the world, some descended from Brian Boru, the Great King, some who have been adopted into the clan, but all connected in their clan kinship. But I will do a family tree video, so please look out for that. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, where I will cover clans and dynasties of Scotland, Ireland and more.